Hello, welcome back to Flat Caps and Classics, and the second video, but the first video of actually starting to pull this thing to bits. If you've not seen the first video, do please go ahead and have a look. It was us collecting this Mazda RX-7, bringing it back, having a look underneath, finding out just how crusty it is. Today, I want to start getting rid of that rust, treating it, wire-wheeling it off, finding out just how bad it is inside and underneath as well. So far inside, it's really not been too bad. The boot is really very clean, and you'll see more of that in a minute when we actually start taking shock absorbers off and things like that. But what I want to do today is to get the back axle off, start cleaning that up, and start cleaning the underside of the car. Now, before we started this video, I have actually taken the fuel tank out. You know when you start fiddling with something on a weekend and you just think, do you know what, I might as well just get it all done. I've done it. The tank is porous. Well, I found somewhere that can refurbish it because, as I said in the last video, you can't get a fuel tank for this car. And underneath the fuel tank, on the car itself, is remarkably clean, as you'll see. It's very hopeful. All the signs are really hopeful. But let's get cracking. Let's get this back axle off and just see what lies ahead. So what we need to do first is take the bolts, or the nuts rather, securing the shock absorber tops. Really very easy. If you have a look inside, so what we need to do is, as I say, is undo these nuts. That top one I've already loosened, and of course there's the same on the other one. If we release those, then when we take the axle down, these should just drop through. So if I just undo that nut, pinch the top of that thread there, it should be like that. That will then allow us to undo the bottom one. That's now nice and loose, so I can release those grips. That comes off. A long thread, just when you don't need one. There we are. That's now free to drop through the car when we drop the suspension. Just got the other side to do, and then we'll lift the car up on the ramp. Oh, there we go. When it goes, it goes. So there's the offending article that we need to get off. We have already soaked most of the bolts in WD-40 and other suitable lubricants. Bottom bolts of the shock absorbers. I'm going to try and break all the bolts free whilst this is still on the car, because I think once the axle is off, it's going to take so much more to try and do it. At least we've got the weight of the car to provide some form of resistance. But the bolts we need to do to get the axle off, we've got that. Handbrake's already clear. We've taken the handbrake cables off. They came off really rather well. And the other stabilizer bar there, which goes onto the car. Clearly the tops of the shock absorbers are already free, so that's good. We've got the anti-roll bar links up there, which need to come off. And the bar there as well, which need to come off. So we've got probably half a dozen bolts, nuts and bolts to undo before we can actually drop the axle off. The challenge is going to be how much it's going to take to actually get them free. One of the things we need to do, we're taking a load of bolts out of the axle that holds it onto the car. We need to make sure that we're supporting the axle. So nothing better than this transmission jack, I think, to be able to make sure we get a little bit of stability. Just trying to find the right place for it. That should be. There we are. So that's given it the stability we need while we go and undo the bolts. So, it wasn't easy, but the axle's off. Some of the support's still to come off. A lot of the bolts, or a number of the bolts, were seized not to the brackets but actually to the bushes. I suppose that's only to be expected with a car that's been standing this long and the amount of surface corrosion that there is. We've ground a couple off. A lot of them have opened, a lot of them have undone for us, which was surprising to say the least. But that is off. Now time to clean, pull this further to bits, to clean it, to get it painted, to get it ready to go back on the car. The underside of the car that it's revealed is nothing really that we haven't already seen. It's just made it a lot more accessible. Looking forward to getting that cleaned up. We've got to get the brake lines down, we've got to get the fuel lines down, the exhaust needs to come off, and then we will be ready to start wire brushing that, to cleaning all the rust off, the surface corrosion, treating the rust that's there, making sure that everything is still safe, and then getting the underside painted as well. So, a meal and a sleep later to regenerate, and the axle is now on the workbench. As you can see, it's just going to make it easier to work on, I think. So what I want to do now is to strip this down, strip it down as much as I can, basically, and then start refurbishing it. Wire brush it, clean it as much as we can, paint it, obviously refurbish brake calipers. Brake calipers are not looking too bad. Everything else is really crusty. Whether the nuts will come off, the bolts will come off, I think we're going to need an awful lot of heat and a bit of prayer. The brake discs themselves, actually, yes, they're rusty, but they're not too bad, and I'm hoping we might be able to salvage those, but who knows? We better start somewhere. So what we need to do first, it's a brake caliper like most other brake calipers, 2 bolts top and bottom. Now we did loosen these off whilst it was on the car because they thought they'd be really tight. Brake hose needs to come off. I'm just going to cut that. We're going to replace all the brake hoses anyway, so there's no point in wrestling with trying to get this undone if we're just going to replace it anyway, and they will certainly be good for replacement. So this, I think this bottom bolt of the caliper, yeah, bottom bolt's already out, so we just need to get the top bolt out, which may take some time. Actually, that was a lot easier than I thought. There we are, that's out. Now I know the brake pads are still in the caliper, but I'm hoping that we can just prise it off with the pads in it. There we go. One brake caliper. Very rusty. Brake pads actually don't look too bad in there. Clearly they're going to be changed, but put that to one side to be refurbished. That then gives us a lot more access to get these 4, in fact 3 nuts that hold the hub assembly on. But what I want to do now, right now, is to get this disc off. Two screws on the back. Again, we'd loosened them on the car, but they didn't take much loosening actually. They were fine. Well, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. You know, I said the brake discs were in not bad condition. When you look, there's actually there is no lip on here at all. Yes, they're coloured more than rusty, really. There's surface rust on there. That will all clean up with sandpaper. I'm going to take advice on it because clearly I don't want to put things back on the car that isn't safe, but I think these could well be saved. Right, so that's one off. Now the back plate needs to come off and the shaft out. There are 3 nuts to undo at the back. They've been soaked in WD-40. I think we're going to need some heat, but we'll see how it goes. It's a 12 mil. No, that's not going anywhere. We definitely need some heat. Let's, don't try this at home, kids. Here we go. Heat is the wonder of all things. Clearly, I don't know why I'm bothering to say this because you'll know this already, but you know, if you've got flammable liquids near it, don't for goodness sake start using naked flames. That just really wouldn't be right. But I know that the brake fluid's out of this. Clearly it's off the car, so there's no room, no worry about fuel or anything like that. Right, so we know that that one's loose. Actually, I tell you what, I'll get this one off and then we'll do the other two. Right, well, all this has happened really rather quickly. I'll show you in more detail when I do the other side, because I just wanted to see how it would all not fall to bits, but you know, if it would undo. The 3 nuts and bolts holding the back plate in came out with a lot of heat. It's taken me about an hour to get to this stage. So with a lot of heat, 3 bolts, and then using a puller, the whole shaft now comes out. So I've disconnected that brake pipe. I'm not too worried about it. I wanted to keep the rough shape to use it as a template for the new one. But what we should be able to do now is pull this. Get that out of the way. There we are. Pull the half shaft right out of the car. There we are. Half shaft, the bearing, everything, all that can be inspected. Bearings changed if necessary, and I can get the back plate off once and for all and get that blasted and repainted, ready to go back on. Brilliant. One down, one to go. I'm amazed how easily these are coming off, but I'm certainly not going to complain. Well, I did want you to see this actually freeing up as a result of the puller, but it took ages. Broke the handle of the puller. It was, yeah, stubborn, I think is probably the best phrase, but it is now free and just slide out. Now, I do need to get rid of these bearings so that I can take the back plate off. That I will do, but if I put that over there, like that, I've only really got a couple of other bits and pieces to take off here. One is the block that the brake pipes go into, and then the hose that goes onto the main part of the car, and a couple of other bits and pieces. And that's this axle stripped down, ready for cleaning, scrubbing, and painting. So all the linkages are refurbished. What we actually have noticed, we should have noticed it before, I don't know whether you can see that, but there's a bend in that link, and there shouldn't be. And there's a bend in that link, there shouldn't be. Time is pressing. We need to get the car on the ground because we need to strip the bodywork to get it ready for paint, which is going to be the next video. So we're going to put these links back on. The axle's got to come back off when we get the car back from paint because we need to seal the underneath, but there's no point in doing that now because of the welding that needs to be done. So we're going to put the links back on. They've got new bushes, all new bushes, which is fantastic, and they're very, very easy to do considering they were so difficult to get off, but then they've been on there since 1983. They come in 3 parts. You've got one that's to go in either side, and then a flat disc that just goes in the middle, and you just push that home like that, put the other outer one on, and then push the pin in, and it goes in really nice and easily, just like that really. So there's just this other one to do. Ollie's been doing the Watt link, which is the link that goes in the centre of the axle to steady that. Just needs to get this piece back on. That pushes in, and there we are. That's the final one. It looks really nice and neat, though, doesn't it? Apart from the bend in the middle of it, but let's just gloss over that. Right, onto the car. In fact, what I've not done is shown you the axle. It's done. It's been completely blasted, not blasted, but wire brushed and primed. And now we've got a good couple of coats of paint on it, and it hasn't come up too badly. It's not perfect. No, the metal has been eaten into by the dreaded rust, but actually it's not looking too bad. The differential's all been checked, and it's looking quite good. So hopefully this will be good for another few years as well. The springs have all been done as well, and I'll show you those when we put it on the car. Something's just occurred to me, is I've not shown you the underside of the car. Now we've finished it. I say finished it, it needs painting, but we're not going to coat the underside and protect the underside until it comes back from the body shop, basically because we're not going to. And also it means that they can do the welding and then we won't have to go over what we've already done. And I'll show you the welding in a minute. But come and have a look and see, I think, just how well this has come up. The silver, the white, is etch primer. It's just where we've gone down to the bare metal and we've just given it a quick spray over to protect it. But it's come up really very well. If you come down the passenger side, the chassis rails there, it's all really good. Yeah, there's a couple of dents, but it's completely solid. Floor's good. It's looking. No, we haven't done the front part. From here forwards, we haven't touched anything. You can see the front suspension is still looking completely awful. But we will do that again when it's coming back from paint. But to come down the driver's side now, again, it's all come up really well. This is just the small amount of protection that the manufacturer, that Mazda, would have put on the car. But we've left that there. We've rubbed it down. We can put the coating over that. The chassis rails are really good. And I love at the back. Now, one of your comments in the first video we did about the Mazda was check under the back seat, because they always go under the back seat. They really haven't. This one really hasn't. And the floor, if you can look up at the floor here by the wheel well, the spare wheel well, it's all looking really very, very good. Needs one final quick rub down, really, with just sandpaper, just to keep it right before we put the coat of protection, couple of coats of protection over it. But it's looking really good. Now the welding, you'll be able to see the small amounts of welding. We've got bits like this. It's happening in the wheel wells where they go in all the cars. So there, the back of the sill does need some help. So we're going to get, obviously that's going to be remedied. And onto the other side, it's gone in a very similar place, not quite to the extent, but again, that's going to have to be cut out, new metal let in, and there are tiny small pinholes around there and a couple at the back. Anything that had surface corrosion on has been treated with the rust eater, and it's done a really very good job. So we're really very positive about this. The rear valance we always knew was going to be a problem. We're having a new one made for us as well. We can't get, if you know anybody who's got a rear valance of a braking RX-7 FB, then please let me know. But we can't find one, so the body shop is going to make us a new one of those, and there's a bit of rust there, so that's going to come out, but that'll be part of the repair to the rear valance. So all in all, I'm really very, very happy with what this is bearing so far. Yeah, the front arches, the back of the front arches, front of the footwells, if you like, they need attention as well. But that's all going to be done. Body shop knows all about it. They're happy with it. Just can't wait to get it into paint. But first of all, let's get it on its own wheels. You know what they say about the best laid plans. We've been hit by wrong bushes. The bushes have all gone into the drop links, or to the links rather, but the Watts link, which basically holds the axle, stops the lateral movement, and stops it falling away. The bushes are, I mean, they're not even close. You can see, I don't know whether you can see that, they are completely wrong for it. And that's going to take a long time. I think that these actually came through a UK supplier, but or through a UK retailer, but they came, I think, from California. That's what it says on the box anyway. Listen, everybody makes mistakes, that's fine. And we know that they're wrong as well, because the metal tube that goes in here and fits so snugly in these links, which are perfect, flops around in here. It's just, there's nothing right about these. So I'm going to have to contact the UK retailer and hopefully we can sort it out. So I think what we're going to do, we haven't got this on, and yeah, I'm a bit deflated about it because I'd like to have seen the car back on its wheels by the end of this video. But I think to save it drawing on, we'll close the video there. Thank you so much for watching. If you've liked it, I mean, even if you haven't, please like, subscribe and press the notification bell. It'd be lovely. We've now got over 1,000 subscribers to the channel, which I'm really thrilled about, and hopefully that will continue to grow. Tell your friends about it. There aren't many of these RX-7s on the road, so it'd be really good to get more people engaged in what we're doing. The next video, the axle will be on. It will be down on its wheels, well, up and down, because we're actually going to start stripping all the bodywork off and getting it ready for that trip to the body shop. Thanks for watching. So until next time, cheerio.